there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight. Your one stop for the day's top stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. An Indian engineer is shot dead in US's Kansas City. 2 others are injured. Police arrest former US Navyman who shouted terrorist as he shot the victims. After the strategic dialogue with India, Chinese ambassador says resolving international issues will take time. Cautions that neither country should try to rush things. Campaigning for the 5th phase of Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi addressed rallies across the state. And on the second day of the first test against Australia, Indian batsmen falter, get bundled out for just 105 runs. Australia finishes the day with a lead of 298 runs. Our top story, China has said that resolving international issues with India will take time. It also cautioned that neither nation should rush into conclusions. 2 days after the conclusion of the strategic dialogue between the two nations in Beijing, China's ambassador has said that both the countries should focus on strengthening relationships.
It's China's first official reaction after a strategic dialogue with India in Beijing on Wednesday. China says delicate issues like Masood Azhar and India's entry into the NSG will take time in getting resolved. It also said that a strategic dialogue that has restarted will decide the direction of the relations between the two countries.
China's support to India and to every country on the anti-terrorist matter is always be there. So something in detail, the discussion is still going on and it takes time.
And what do you think about NSG, sir?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same.
The Chinese ambassador said he was aware that media in both the nations prefer to focus on the tensions, where in fact the two nations should concentrate on cooperation.
Focus on these two issues. These two emerging issues are very important, but more important is the bilateral cooperation. The correspondent, I wish you can also cover some positive matters, some progress.
Experts feel that China's position is exclusively determined by its self-interest and that it has not deviated from it even one bit after a strategic dialogue. In this context, they question the very significance of the dialogue.
I can't see what is the basis of a strategic dialogue with China, because in a sense China has for long been a strategic adversary. It has armed China, Pakistan with nuclear weapons, with missile technology that continues today, and the reason why they oppose our membership of the NSG is they have tagged it along with that of Pakistan. The reason why they are opposing the designation of Masood Azhar is because it will put Pakistan in the dock.
In this context, the Chinese ambassador's statement clearly reflects the inflexibility of Beijing's policy. In fact, it has refused to even acknowledge India's concern on China-Pakistan economic corridor. Given the state of affairs, India is holding that talks on these issues will continue. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you all the latest from the ongoing assembly elections. Campaigning for the 5th phase of the UP Assembly polls for 52 seats across 11 districts will end on Saturday. Campaigning will come at a close at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Polling will take place on the 27th of February. Now, the districts going to polls in the 5th phase includes Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi's Lok Sabha constituency, Amethi. 1.84 crore voters are expected to exercise their franchise at 12,791 polling stations and 19,167 polling booths in this phase. And campaigning, of course, still on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed an election rally in Gonda. Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav also addressed 7 rallies, while his alliance partner and Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi held 3 campaign rallies. Here's a report.
Campaigning for the 5th phase of Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections 2017 on Friday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a rally in Gonda. Invoking Lord Shiva on Mahashivratri, the Prime Minister said with their third eye people can see what is good for them and what is bad. Asserting his resolve to weed out corruption, Modi attacked the opposition, saying big forces are out to mislead the country. He urged the people of Uttar Pradesh to elect a BJP government with full majority. Also on the PM's target was the law and order situation in the state.
भाइयों बहनों, कोई भी डर जाए, इतना इन्होंने हमला बोला हुआ है, इतना झूठ फैलाया हुआ है, भ्रमित करने का प्रयास किया है, लेकिन मैं देशवासियों को सर झुका करके नमन करता हूं कि देश की जनता ने सच क्या है, ईमानदारी से देश की भलाई की कोशिश क्या है, उसका साथ पकड़ा है.
Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav attacked the BJP and the BSP in several rallies held in Ayodhya, Faizabad and Akbarpur districts. In a rally in Faizabad district, the Akhilesh lashed out at BJP's attempt to polarize voters. He said while the SP talks about giving laptops and smartphones to people, BJP is still trapped in the Kabristan versus Samshan debate. Akhilesh challenged Modi for a debate on the issue of development. He also accused the BSP of transferring its vote to the BJP in the Lok Sabha elections.
हम तो कहते हैं प्रधानमंत्री जी से कि अगर कोई काम की बहस करनी हो तो हम बहस करने के लिए तैयार हैं. बहुत उनकी सुन ली हमने रेडियो पे मन की बात, लोगों ने सुनी टीवी पे भी मन की बात, और हम समाजवादी लोग पूछ रहे हैं प्रधानमंत्री जी कब करोगे काम की बात, और अगर एक भी काम किया हो तो बता दो हमें. उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता ने सबसे ज्यादा लोकसभा के सांसद भेज दिए.
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also joined in his alliance partner SP in slamming the BJP for ignoring the farmers and the youth of the state. Addressing a crowd at a rally in Basti, Rahul asked voters to elect a government for the youth, farmers and the poor instead of those who spread only hatred. He also addressed rallies in Bahraich and Balrampur.
2 करोड़ युवाओं को रोजगार देने का वायदा किया. अब बताइए, पिछले साल नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार ने हिंदुस्तान में कितने युवाओं को रोजगार दिया? उनका मंत्री खड़ा होता है, कहता है कि साहब 2 करोड़ वायदा तो किया था, मगर सच्चाई ये है कि पिछले साल पूरे हिंदुस्तान में हमने एक व्यक्ति को रोजगार नहीं दिलवाया.
52 seats will go to polls in this phase on February 27th. The results will be announced on March 11th.
In last assembly elections in 2012, Samajwadi Party got 4 out of 5 seats in Faizabad. But in these elections, party is facing a difficult challenge because it's a triangular fight this time, and Bahujan Samaj Party is making it more difficult for Samajwadi Party. With cameraman Anirban, this is Shyam Sundar, Rajya Sabha TV, Faizabad.
And as you can see, election fever is reaching newer heights by each passing day in UP. The BJP President Amit Shah addressed 2 rallies in Deoria and Azamgarh on Friday. Responding to former Delhi Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit's comments, Amit Shah targeted the Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi, calling him an immature person. He also asked Rahul Gandhi to state what his party has been doing for the last 60 years.
उत्तर प्रदेश के अच्छे दिन कब आएंगे? 11 मार्च को मतगणना होगी, सुबह 8 बजे मतगणना शुरू होगी, 9 बजे 10 राउंड समाप्त होंगे, 10 बजे 15 राउंड समाप्त होंगे, 12 बजे मतगणना समाप्त होगी, 1 बजे अखिलेश सरकार समाप्त हो जाएगी.
And alongside, Rajnath Singh also addressed a rally in Gorakhpur in which he accused earlier governments of corruption. He also added that none of the BJP leaders had ever been accused of corruption.
चाहे अटल जी की सरकार का कोई मंत्री हो अथवा मोदी जी की सरकार का मंत्री हो, किसी के दामन पर कोई भ्रष्टाचार की दाग लगी हुई हो या कोई उंगली उठाकर नहीं करता. आप जानते हैं इस हकीकत को कि सपा और बसपा के मुख्यमंत्रियों पर भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप लगे. आय से अधिक संपत्ति के मामले को लेकर उनके खिलाफ FIR दर्ज हुई, CBI जांच चल रही है. लेकिन बहनों भाइयों, भारतीय जनता पार्टी, चाहे वो कल्याण सिंह जी रहे हों, जयराम प्रकाश जी गुप्ता रहे हों, अथवा मैं रहा, हम लोगों के दामन के ऊपर कोई भ्रष्टाचार का दाग लगाने की हिम्मत नहीं कर पाए.
Well, the election campaign at its peak, our correspondent Vishal Daya caught up with Congress's MP and party's campaign committee chairman Sanjay Singh, who spoke about the current alliance with the Samajwadi Party for the assembly elections in the state.
How has it changed the scenario for the Congress Party, the tie-up with Samajwadi?
It is because the fundamental forces whom we wanted to stop in Uttar Pradesh, which is going to decide the fate of 19. So I think it is the right decision what we made at the 11th hour. Now this is the alliance which is going to win the election in 2017. And 2019 also we will take the decision and we will be the decisive force.
But there are some, rough edges in this coalition still left out, and one specifically is in your turf only, when both candidates from Congress and Samajwadi Party are in the fray. So how is that going to play out specifically in Amethi, since it's your turf, it's your place?
Yeah, it is very clear that Congress had decided that rivalry in Amethi, all 10 Vidhan Sabha seats, is the only Congress will fight. Unfortunately, it couldn't happen, but what the aim is not going to be forfeit, because the public of Amethi has decided the oust the corrupt present local MLA and a minister. I think it is decided and there is no confusion.
Can't resist asking this question. How about the third dimension in Amethi? Your ex-wife, she's now contesting from BJP. Must be a difficult choice for you, or it was already decided that you're going to campaign for the Congress?
You have seen from long time BJP is the divisive force, is always divides the people, divides community, divides the religion, and they want to divide the country, but they will not succeed.
And here's a look at the other election-related developments in Pulpuri. Police today recovered a hand grenade and a bomb from separate places in Manipur a day ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Manipur. The recovery comes even as 6 rebel groups in the state have given a call for a complete shutdown to protest against Modi's visit. The Prime Minister will address a rally at Langjing Achoba ground in Imphal district in support of BJP candidates in the assembly polls. Manipur, which is officially a dry state, seems to be on a high during electioneering, with huge amount of liquor being regularly seized by the excise department. Since the announcement of elections in Manipur on the 4th of January, enforcement agencies have seized liquor worth 57 lakh rupees during raids in different parts of the state. The Election Commission today ordered FIRs against 3 candidates in UP and 1 in Manipur after a TV sting showed them indulging in electoral malpractices. The Commission has directed poll authorities to issue show-cause notices to the candidates and lodge FIRs under various sections of the IPC for unfair practices. On the occasion of Mahashivratri, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday unveiled a 112-foot-tall Shiva statue in Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. The Isha Foundation has constructed the statue. The organization now plans to set up similar statues in different cities. At the event, the Prime Minister spoke about yoga and the importance of ideas. He said by the practice of yoga, it creates a spirit of oneness. He also cautioned against rejecting an ancient notion at the cost of harming oneself. The founder of Isha Foundation, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, said that it took them 2.5 years to design the statue, but its construction took just 8 months. The face of Lord Shiva is made of steel. The whole structure is estimated to weigh around 500 tons.
Yoga has come a long way. There are various definitions, types, schools of yoga, and ways to practice yoga that have emerged. This is the beauty of yoga. It is ancient, yet modern. It is constant, yet evolving.
Meanwhile, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari returned to New Delhi today after concluding his 5-day tour to the East African countries of Rwanda and Uganda. The Vice President's delegation included his wife Salma Ansari, Minister for Social Justice and Empowerment Vijay Sampla, and some MPs. The visit was aimed at strengthening relations with the 2 African nations. In a joint statement on Thursday, India and Uganda condemned terrorism in all its forms and stressed the importance of international efforts to fight the menace. On the last day of his Uganda leg of the two-nation visit, the Vice President paid floral tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at the source of the River Nile in Jinja. That's the spot where a part of Gandhi's ashes was sprinkled. On the first leg of his tour, Vice President Ansari was in Rwanda, where 3 MOUs were signed in the field of innovation, aviation sectors and visa requirements. Expressing satisfaction over his tour, the Vice President appreciated the development that the two countries have achieved despite experiencing the many ups and downs in their history.
There are enormous possibilities of development cooperation where we can share with them our experience, our skills which are of use to them. Africa also has enormous resources which we can look at as India's development requirements come up. One issue of concern to us but to them also is this phenomena of terrorism, and on which there was a total meeting of minds, condemning terrorism in all shapes and forms.
And with that, let's take you through some updates across the country in Nationwide. The Indian Army paid its last respects to Lance Nayak Ghulam Mohiuddin Rathar, who was killed in an encounter with militants in Shopian district. Rathar was among the 3 soldiers who were killed as militants ambushed a patrolling party of the army on Thursday. The mortal remains were flown to Anantnag district of Kashmir, where senior army officials paid tribute to him. The centre sought a report from the Delhi University in connection with the violence at Ramjas College, which left many injured. The report has been sought after clashes broke out between the AISA and Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, the AVP students, over opposition to an event involving JNU student Omar Khalid. Following violence and alleged police manhandling, the Delhi police suspended 3 of its personnel and asked the crime branch to conduct a probe into the clashes. Ola and Uber drivers called off their 13-day strike yesterday after the Delhi government called a meeting with striking drivers and representatives from both the agencies. In fact, thousands of drivers working with the 2 taxi aggregators had gone on an indefinite strike against low fares and lack of basic amenities that their employers provide them. Sarvodaya Drivers Association of Delhi, which claims to represent 1.5 lakh drivers in Delhi NCR, said that it has called off the strike till the 27th of February as the app-based cab aggregators have sought time to resolve their issues. With a quick break here, we'll be back with more news in a bit. Stay with us.
Interdisciplinary science in the future will be one of our pillars on which this institute stands. The second infectious disease drug actually originated in India. UN Brahmachari's urease tibamine against Kala-Azar. But unfortunately, he is the unsung hero because we have never promoted him to that level.
Watch Eureka with Professor Siddharth Roy, Director of Bose Institute, Kolkata, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
Homai Vyarawala, better known by her pseudonym Dalda 13, was India's first woman photojournalist. Vyarawala entered the field of photojournalism in the late 1930s. For nearly 30 years till she retired in the early 1970s, at the peak of her career, she made a massive impact. Vyarawala clicked some iconic pictures of political and national leaders. Gandhiji, Nehru, Jinnah, Indira Gandhi have been subjects of her vast photographic collection. Prime Minister Nehru, she says, was her favorite. In 2011, Homayi Vyarawala was conferred the Padma Vibhushan, the country's second highest civilian award.
Welcome back. Let's get you some more news now. And in the US, in a shocking incident, an Indian techie was killed in Kansas City. The victim, a 32-year-old engineer from Hyderabad, and his colleague were shot at by a disgruntled American Navy veteran who shouted racial abuses. The Indian government has promised all help to the grieving family. Here's a report.
A young Indian techie is the latest victim of a race crime in US Kansas City. 32-year-old Srinivas Kuchibhotla was shot dead by a former American Navy veteran. The 51-year-old shooter Adam Puritan opened fire at a crowded bar on Wednesday night as he yelled "terrorist" and "get out of my country." Kuchibhotla died of his bullet injuries in hospital while his colleague Alok Madasini was critically injured. Hailing from Hyderabad, Kuchibhotla was employed with the US technology company Garmin's headquarters in Olathe. The attacker was caught 5 hours later in Missouri. Kuchibhotla's family is in shock. They are blaming Donald Trump for their loss.
We want the body to be here at the earliest. We are waiting. This certainly shows that ये दिखाता है कि Trump is only the prime reason as of now.
The family has also appealed to the government to take up the matter.
Government should voice out this strongly because our brothers, sisters and our relatives and are there, and if you really look into this incident, this is not done by a teenager or a burglar or something like that, a drug addict. It is done by a 55-year-old man.
Minister of External Affairs Sushma Swaraj reached out to the bereaved family and promised all help. The US Embassy in New Delhi has condemned the shooting. The United States is a nation of immigrants and welcomes people from all across the world to visit, work, study and live. US authorities will investigate thoroughly and prosecute the case, though we recognize that justice is a small consolation to families in grief, unquote. The unfortunate incident is just one of the many such incidents taking place in the United States. Experts blame Trump's non-liberal approach to immigration policies as the reason behind this.
And this shows that there is a dangerous trend amongst some disgruntled people. The unfortunate part is that in the run-up to the election, the passions have been whipped up quite a bit against immigration and foreigners.
The Telangana government has promised all help to the family members of the victim. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
In more international news, 42 people were killed and dozens injured in a suicide attack in Syria. The attack took place near the Syrian town of Al-Bab just hours after it was taken back from the ISIS. The suicide bomber blew up a vehicle packed with explosives outside a rebel command center at the village of Susian near Al-Bab. The blast devastated the twin command posts and also seriously injured a large number of Turkish-backed rebel fighters. Most of the dead were fighters. There was no immediate claim for the attack, but it bore all the hallmarks of the ISIS, which had put up fierce resistance in Al-Bab for weeks. The strategic town, just 25 kilometers south of the Turkish border, was the jihadists' last stronghold in the northern Syrian province of Aleppo. With that, let's give you some more international news updates in Global Buzz. US President Donald Trump on Thursday vowed to use the full force of the US government to combat human trafficking. Trump met organizations that deal with victims of trafficking and said that his administration will focus on ending the horrific practice. A Malaysian group held a protest outside the North Korean embassy in Kuala Lumpur to demand respect for Malaysia's sovereignty over its investigation on the murder of Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Muslim People's Coalition president said that Pyongyang's statements about Kuala Lumpur's unwillingness to cooperate in the murder case were baseless allegations. UN Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura today welcomed Syria's ambassador to the UN in New York. Bashar al-Jafri and the Syrian government delegation at a meeting as part of the intra-Syrian negotiations in Geneva. The opposing sides in the Syrian war came face-to-face in UN peace talks for the first time in 3 years to hear Mistura implore them to cooperate to find a way out of almost 6 years of war. And now let's head on to some sports news. And in cricket, Australia found themselves in the driver's seat on day 2, batting on 143 for 4 in the second innings. At close of the day's play, India trailing at 298 runs in the first test match in Pune. Resuming at an overnight score of 256 for 9 wickets, Mitchell Starc was finally dismissed on the 5th ball of the morning as the visitors were bowled out for 260 on Friday. Starc starred with a bat though before he was dismissed for 61 as India had their work cut out on a pitch that was turning square right from the first ball. Steve O'Keefe rattled the Indian side then with a 6-wicket haul as Australia bowled out the Indians for 105 runs. Starc was the standout performer for the Steve Smith-led side as they caught India napping on a spinner-friendly wicket. Well, that's all we have for you on the news tonight. From the entire team here, good night. Have a good weekend.